Perfect.
Yep. We a go. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Um, Now it's just awkward. Okay.
What
Well,
is it
welcome back,
not?
everybody, to
Hello.
Kaleidoscopic Chaos. Yes, this is Gerry and Joy. It's been like 3 months. I checked out our channel. I was like, uh-oh, we're doing it again.
We're not too bad though. Like this has been a little bit, but like we were also surprisingly good because we put out two in what? 2 months?
Three.
Three and
We put three in like 5, 4, and 3 months ago. I saw it. So we put one out each month for 3 months in a row. So
which is our best yet. Like we were bound to have a little bit of a slip up, so
we
like this isn't that bad.
we broke the we broke the
The streak.
what's it called? The streak, but it's okay. I mean, I moved, and as y'all can see, by my hilariously fugly background, or it's just plain, I guess.
It's
But
just not particularly exciting, but it's very
it's
normal.
it's it's because you can't see all the spider carcasses of things that I've killed. Anyway, so yeah, today Jerry and I are here to talk about the holidays.
He couldn't tell
Um,
with her beautiful. Hang on,
yeah,
hang on, hang on. Now we're ready.
yeah. I have an ugly sweater on as well, but it is nowhere as magnificent as Jerry's, simply because of that hood. That hood is
Like, come on, please.
yeah.
I would ask you to try and come on, come on.
I actually like cannot stop staring at it. It's wild. It's yeah. There's it's
Anywho,
beautiful.
yeah. So
Yes.
let's hope this
So
will not detract from what we're going to be attempting today, which will
yeah.
be to talk about the holidays and continue with our kind of current communication series and working on different tricks and
Ahem.
skills and whatnot.
Mini series.
Many theories. My
Yes.
apologies.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So we are continuing it on. I think this will be probably one of the last times. Like we're gonna hope to probably integrate it with what we do from now on and try to learn from it, of course. But I don't know how many more of these we'll really need to do, like intentionally about the miniseries. But yeah, we thought it would be good to do it like specifically this time, and work on what exactly, Jerry?
Turn taking and not interrupting each other because it's something we kind of
What?
do a
No,
lot.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of bad at
Yeah.
that. And like amongst ourselves it's not too bad, but if you're multiple people and people like are talking over each other, then the streams get crossed and it's like too many ideas at once. Like just
And it gets overwhelming. And if you're not a fast listener, like you and I, that's why we do it because we are very quick moving.
yeah.
But
And it's just the two of us and that's just it. And where you can talk and I can listen, but I can also like say my thing at the same time. Like we can almost talk at the same time, which is not ideal, really, because I
okay,
feel like
but
it's
oh, but how much are we really listening if we're
oh
doing that? Like
exactly
really, like
yeah.
like we've talked about before, or maybe we did, but I know on our list is like active listening, and I don't think either one of us really engage in it. And it works really well for us in our friendship, but
Sure.
like in this kind of like more intentional conversations, I think it is helpful, right, to
Yeah, I
do
think
that.
our usual setup is not conducive for like an external third party listener, which is going to bring us to kind of exactly the concept of today, which kind of does embody the whole like turn taking, no interrupting, which in itself leans into just more active listening or more intentional turn taking in that, and that's where, and I believe you know just yes, our props for today, which we have decided will be our kind of speaking objects. Where we will raise these to get the attention of the other person to indicate our desire to speak. Because we figured we need something to like be able to throw the ball back because if we rely on ourselves to do that, the person talking, it's never going to happen. Like if we're honest with ourselves, when you're the one talking, you're
Nope.
not going to think about it. Like try as you may and try as you may to try to be aware and conscious and understanding of the signals the other person might be really showing you that they want to talk, we kind of just keep rambling. Exactly. So these at least make it a little bit more light, and just sort of the indication where the message being brought across is the "I would like
Whoa.
to speak."
I would like to speak, please.
Exactly.
Hello.
And
That's
the
what I
idea
mean.
where, not that we have to drop everything and stop talking the second the fruit goes up, but at least it's a signal to wrap it up and throw the ball back to each other.
Stop talking. No one likes you. You're boring. Right? That's what it means?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. We were gonna make signs, and Jerry was gonna use signs that she had, but yeah, didn't happen. So we're just gonna get fruity instead, if that's okay with
Exactly.
you.
Like, the signs are so... I don't know what I
So
did with them.
your
Oh my
apartment's
gosh.
tiny too, so like
I
it's
just
crazy
found
that
them. I've looked over, and you know when you're, like, not looking in the right spot?
No, I don't, because I don't lose stuff,
Because
especially in small apartments.
you don't have
Lying right there.
You don't have ADHD, okay? Object blindness is a thing. I'm telling you, it's really bad.
Yeah, that sounds like bullcrap.
I found them. No, because I...
This is gonna be the bullcrap banana, okay?
Fine. No, but I'm telling you,
Boo,
you don't...
sharapu.
When you don't think something is somewhere, you don't see it until you're like... You open your horizons and you're like, oh, because it's on a different shelf for some reason. Anyway, we're losing the plot in that we were like, let's find something else, and Joy had a banana, and I was like, I have a mango nearby, so this is what we're doing. Then this feels more fun anyway.
It's also like I'm trying not to put it in screen when it shouldn't be, but it's just really fun to handle, and I know.
Well, and just it's so funny when you put it on your hat, like it's kind of weirdly perfect.
Yeah, right. It just sits there.
It's glorious. It's glorious.
So this is basically us.
And we wonder why we're still single.
I mean, I know why.
Yeah.
It's my banana. It's just really ghetto. No one likes it. They're like, why are you bringing it? It's anyway. I'm getting weird.
Only
Okay.
just getting? Okay. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
why don't we
So-
start?
This is going to be, it's December, and even though it's early December, we're still going to make like a holiday theme one, obviously. So our topic today is going to be about the holidays and singleness and the different situations, would you say, Jerry? Scenarios?
Circumstances, I guess.
Yeah, like whether it's, you're spending holidays with family, friends, a partner, yourself, Jesus. Don't die. Hey, everyone, don't die. I'm getting weird again.
What? Walk
I'm in
me
this
through
weird
that.
mood where I'm just saying really strange things. So maybe you are going to be speaking more this time because I feel like I'm just going to keep saying really weird things.
Yeah,
It's
and
bananas.
and I feel like that's going to be a topic for another time of why it's important to do the self reading of, am I disposed to be having this conversation right now, and what happens when we don't listen to that little voice that says maybe don't. So yeah, that's the topic for later. But anyway, to get on to today's topic, oh dang nabbit, I think you're frozen. Hello?
Hello?
Ah, are we back?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. I should manage to be able to edit that out, because,
Okay.
yeah.
It's not my internet. It must be maybe
It might be on, it could be on my end, who knows?
because I'm looking at it and it's like green and it's 39. Okay. Well, either way, it's
know.
fine. You can just edit it. So what were we saying?
Yeah, well, starting from the beginning with our kind of current topic and what led us into it, I guess. Or I don't know if it's because I think you were the one who threw the idea of the holidays.
Yeah.
But honestly,
Yeah.
I like it. Without saying it's funny, like, again, great minds think alike. Because I'd honestly been kind of thinking about it as a topic where just for myself, the difference of this year versus last year. Because last year I was dating someone for the first time in my life. I had a partner for the holidays. And now, again, this year, I don't. We've come back to the usual. And yeah, just kind of comparing and contrasting about that, at least in my case, where it's gonna be different. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For better and for worse. And yes.
I'm gonna say, I mean, I haven't had a partner in like almost 3 years, but like I understand, like I will be able to contrast it as well because I spent a couple holidays, one with him in person. So like it's definitely a different experience and it's not easy. So shall we say?
Yeah. But I know, like, is in trying to not just completely be a downer, because sometimes, like, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm alone for Christmas. Like, the one thing, well, without saying it's the one silver lining, but mildly, where, just realizing that at least I'm going to have quieter holidays this year, which I personally am not mad about. Because like last year was insane. Like, especially with the way that the holidays fell with like the days off, because it gave me like a long weekend where, because I only get like the 25th and 26th off usually. And the fact that it would lined up like last year more with the weekend where, yeah, I had like Saturday was the 23rd, and like from the Saturday to just going on, because like I had something on the Saturday, something on the Sunday, something on the Monday, something on the Tuesday.
Right.
Like each day had at least one thing. And I almost had something like on the 27th as well, but that was like a D&D thing with friends, and someone was sick or something happened and that didn't happen. I was like, I'm not mad about that because I'm exhausted. Because we had something like each and every day. Like, it was nice because we didn't have to worry about like things that overlap, which can be an issue sometimes when you're dating with someone, of the, oh, well, my family's doing it on this day, but so is my family. Oh, which do we choose? Who do we choose to go? Like, if you're alone, you're like, you
Yeah.
don't have to have that worry of having to choose. We were lucky last year, at least, that everything didn't overlap. Like, it just fell, which meant we got to go to everything, but we went to everything. So it was a lot, ultimately. A lot of new people, a lot of different things. It was good though. It was a nice time, and like it was good and everything, but it was a lot, and I'm glad that this year there's less. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like a lot of people when they've been with someone for longer too, that's why they end up doing like opposite year like stuff because it's too much. Like you guys were both like younger and you didn't have kids and like so it was like doable, but like honestly, I don't think most people nowadays would even have done that much because it was just like to me it sounded like so like a lot of like different events and like I mean for me the last few Christmases have been a bit quieter, but like this Christmas is going to be a lot busier because I have a couple family members so like coming and visiting, so it's going to be very different. Very busy.
I would go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think. Yeah, but I think it also depends on what kind of family that you have to begin with, because that's just it. Like, let's say in if we go with a more like, well, without saying heteronormative, but or nuclear family to an extent, rather, where it's like, oh, we go like on say one parent's side and then the other parent's side, but not all families have two sides necessarily, depending on even if you're
Hmm.
like with a single parent, or do you have extended family, because depending on whether they have siblings or not, or whether they get along with that extended family, or whether or not you are within the vicinity, because some people, they do have extended family but they're not in the area, so they don't necessarily get to see each other for the holidays, or maybe they only get to see each other for the holidays, which can kind of throw in the balance. Not to mention people from split families, where that's another one that I've heard a lot of people who have like that their parents are split, where that also just adds an extra one, where it's like sometimes you have just even more.
Yeah, that's like reminds me of a guy we know from where we met, the city where we met, and like his parents were split up. And remember we asked him to join us for one of the holidays, and then I actually the same year my parents, well I invited him and my parents were like okay with it, but we had him over for like the Christmas holidays because like neither of his family members like his parents that were divorced celebrated Christmas or any holiday. So like every holiday he was spending basically alone. And like that's really terrible. Like that has to be also shouted out like for people who don't have anything or anyone and like they often feel like they don't have a wanted like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I would love to have all the holidays with a partner. I do think that is nicer than having it with family and friends only, because like to be honest, I want a partner eventually. But like at the same time, I also have to be grateful for what I have, which I have family and friends who care about me and who are involved in my life, whereas some people don't. So that's, I guess, where I'm coming from. But anyway, back to the busyness topic. Yeah, there are different kinds of busy. You have to be a very communicative with, I think, everyone that, like, I think for family on my end, they just kind of assume you're going to be there and do things. And it's like, what if I don't want to? Go ahead.
Well, but to that point, it depends on how sentimental certain people are as well, where it's the but you have to come, you need to be there, and that's regardless of even like whether you with partner or whatnot, or like especially if you have to go travel far, or if it involves receiving a lot of people. Like for some people, after a while, you're like, I don't want to receive everybody and their aunts and cousins and nephews. Like that's a lot of people and that's a lot of work. And it's like, how could you think of the family? Think of the children. And it's like,
Think of the children.
slow down, simmer down. And or the like, you're choosing them over us. And it's like, it's not that deep. It's like you're making it so much weirder than it needs to be. And or it's the idea where it's like, okay, well, you know, last year was you, next year will be them, and it's the
Yeah.
choices need to be made, and it's the we're not in an ideal world. In an ideal world, we'd be able to do it with everybody, and like it would be dandy, but we're not. And it's the like, don't make it personal. Don't make it all about you. Like it's like you're the one who makes it weird by doing that when it doesn't have to be. Like you make it awkward, you make it a problem. And that's not to say that sometimes you can't be like, you can still express the frustration and the sadness and being upset about it. Like obviously, like it's unfortunate, but then to make a fit out of it is like, it's a bit immature.
100%. Like I have a very real comparison. My sister-in-law and best friend, like she was coming up with her family for Christmas and they bought a house recently and so they can't. And I was extremely upset. I still am. Like I'm still salty because I haven't seen her in a few months or a couple months, and like we used to have like a even when I moved to Ottawa and we weren't around each other as much, like we still had a habit of going to each other's place for Christmas. So it's just like for a lot of years of our friendship, we were together for Christmas, and like it is really hard to be like, oh man, you were gonna come, you were planning on coming, now you can't because of real life stuff. So I understand, but I'm also like super salty about it, and I'm like, go ahead.
But that's just it. Tradition and like Christmas or whatever holiday,
Hmm.
like tradition, we are like, depending on how we are, and like I'm not a particularly sentimental person, so it's like I don't think it bothers me nearly as much. Or like I like, for me it's like there's certain things for certain people, it's like, oh, this has to happen on this day. It's like we need to see each other on Christmas Day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
we it's the I'd like to see each other for Christmas, around the holiday, like in and around that area. Does it have to be on Christmas Day? No. Like I don't need it to be on Christmas Day. I'm like, whether I see you today or tomorrow is like, but we get stuck at some point being like, well, today's like the Christmas Eve and today's Christmas, and I'm like, I get it, but also if it works for everybody on a specific day, why are we making such a big fuss out of it?
Yeah, I think that for plans specifically, you have to be compromising when you're dealing with like a partner or even like family and friends. Like, I kind of understand them saying, you know, like if I had a boyfriend, I would 100% be like, I would, no, actually, maybe not. Yeah, maybe I am more like you. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I'd have to see you on Christmas Day. I think it'd be nice, but I don't think it's like a, like, you will die. I just think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think for me, it's just more the like being used to it being, let's say, on a certain day, like, and where after a while, especially like it kind of gets into like, without it being tradition, but it's like the routine, sort of like, let's say for us, like oftentimes, yeah, like more the 24th would be stuff more on my mom's side of the family. The 25th, the 20, yeah, 25th was my mom's side. 26th was always my dad's side. And that's kind of always the way it's been. And without saying that it had to be that way, but it just, that at least just made it simpler. So like every year kind of everybody knew what to expect, and it just made planning. Like that was just more for the sake and ease of planning. But and that's where, like, if you're more than one person or you have a partner where you're like, but if they also go through it with that model, then you have overlap and you're like, well, now we have to choose. And yeah.
I think it's even harder when you're dating, because when you're married, like my brother and his wife with their 5 kids, they create their own Christmas traditions, and because they have 5 kids that can't go traveling a bunch. So like her parents come up for Christmas, and like my parents live near them. So they have their own traditions that they are formed as a married couple in a marriage. Like for dating though, I just find it so much harder, because like you're not to that level of like commitment yet, where you're like, we are starting our own family. Like even if we don't have kids yet, we're two people like married, and we're creating our own life together, and we are creating our own traditions. It doesn't, like, we have more freedom to be like, no, actually, my husband and I are gonna do this on this day. Like there's a bit more like leniency. But if you're like single, you're like, it's like level to me. Like marriage, you can kind of do whatever you want. Then dating, you're kind of being pulled around with different expectations by everyone. And single, it is kind of the same thing. Like I know it's because people love you, but you do still kind of get the same kind of pressure to be like, oh, you're gonna be there, right? Because it's not like you're doing anything else. Yeah.
Well, exactly. It's the expectation of like, yeah, you've got nothing better. It's the why wouldn't you come? And like, to an extent, that's true, because it would be nice. It depends on how often you see each other and the regular too.
I just want to add an addendum. Like last week, there was a Santa Claus parade in the town, like next to us, and my sister-in-law was like, "You're coming, right?" And I was like, I wasn't, like, I didn't want to. I was like, I don't really want to go sit in the cold. And she was like, you have to come. And I kind of got like, I was like, you know what, for family, I'll compromise. Like, I'll go. And it was okay, but it was like 2 hours of sitting in the cold on my ass, watching barely decorated trucks go by. And some of them are really nice, but like, if I don't want to go to that, why are you pressuring me to, go?
Well, no, well, exactly. Like, you don't always not like, but that's just it. It depends on what the holidays or your outings like involve. Like, are we just talking more like simple Christmas family, or like family gatherings, or even just more religious things where it's like, oh, we're gonna go to church, or we're gonna go to this or that, and like not everybody might be comfortable with that idea or want to participate in that anymore, or just might not be available. And like, I think that's the part too where, let's say like for this year, my holidays are like they just fall on weird days this year, because I get like just the 25th and 26th off, and this
Isn't
year
it midweek?
it's midweek. I have the Wednesday and
Yeah.
Thursday off. It's for like the 2 weeks, and I'm like, ugh. And that's just it. Like, if you're not someone who has the possibility or the leisure or the fortune or whatever to have like the 2 weeks off or 1 week off or whatever between like Christmas and New Year or whatever, and you kind of have to work around that. Like, I'm working on the 24th, like, so I wouldn't be available to do anything. Like, whereas like last year, because it was the weekend, we were able to do things like during the day on the 24th. This year I wouldn't be able to. So it's the kind of thing of like being like, oh, well, we're doing it on the 24th. I'm like, it's gonna have to be a dinner, because I'm not available during the daytime. And or like, let's say even for this year, like, and because it was the same thing last year where like for the 26th, like I work the next morning, so I can't stay too late. And it's the idea where it's like, I'm gonna have to scoot because I have work tomorrow morning. And like, it's not personal, it's not anything. And it's like, if I could stay longer, I would, but like, I need some shut eye. Like, as much as it's going to be a quiet day, and it's going to be simpler, and we're not nearly going to get that much stuff done, but it's like, I still have other responsibilities.
Yeah, I think that's where like as I said, the compromise and the communication comes in, because like I think you should make an effort if you have that expectation from family and friends, because they do want to see you. I do get it, especially if like you're as fun and exciting as I am. But like, I'm kidding. Couldn't even say it with a straight face. But like, people do want to see you. They love you, and that's again something we can appreciate. But yeah, it's just trickier around that time. I just wanted to say, like, to talk about the whole difference between the two, like, right? Because we want to talk about like kind of like the pros, or like not pros and cons per se, like we're
The
weighing it, but
differences.
like
The
the
differences.
differences, right? Like, because like the difference between um um being and doing with a partner is like there is more um to do, but there is still a level of expectation for single. So it's just
Exactly.
complicated.
Well, exactly. And just yeah, just taking into consideration that we all need a little bit of care and joy and peace in this world. And it's like, can we just try it and get along, please and thank you? But yeah, but like yeah, to the point of being with a partner where it can be busier, but like I don't know, there was something nice to having to at least, especially in my case, because it was the first time go around of having someone to present to the family. Like it's different, especially like if it's a first time that they're there versus they've been they're part of the crew, like they're expected to come,
Yeah.
versus like it's brand new and we hadn't been dating all that long yet, so like it was the first time that he was meeting everybody, like other than my parents and my brother, so like there was a little bit of excitement, and like on my going on his end where like I hadn't met anybody yet, so it was like, oh, it was new and exciting, and it went well, thankfully. But yeah, there was just something nice about the fact of like having someone around, and just someone who made it mildly more bearable at times. Not that they're bad holidays, but it was nice.
Yeah, because we kind of did this because we didn't want to be like crapping on being single. But like I have to say, yeah, like having a partner, like when let's say you're in a group of people at an event and you're tired of talking to randos or people you don't really care about. Like, I mean, I love all my family, but some of them I'm just like, okay, I'm done talking to you. Like, I don't know, that sounds terrible. But my point is like, or when you just need a bit of a break and you just like, you can go sit with them or like take their hand and, or like, there's just a physical like proximity you can have with them that's just so much more comforting and like solid. It's a grounding thing.
Yeah. It's the physical affection part. Like that's just it. Like having someone like, and I'm a very it depends, like I'm a very physical touch person, so like I really appreciate that, like just like the hand holding or like the hand across the shoulders or just the whatever. Like for me, I found that very very kind of like yeah, like soothing and grounding, and it was nice. It was nice. And exactly, like sometimes when you don't want to talk to anybody, just being able to kind of like cuddle.
100%, exactly. And like I didn't my ex never met any of my family IRL, as you know. But like I was there for Christmas that one year and like I did meet his family like on a call and stuff and like just even for in that very basic, I wouldn't say it's the same thing as going to an event, but even at that basic level, just having him there and like being close to each other and feeling like again you have this like bond and this connection and you're facing everyone else and it's not in like a me against the world battling thing, but it's like it is this kind of like I'm not alone dealing with all, because like Christmas always raises a lot of emotions, both positive and negative for a lot of people as you get older, so having someone is just sometimes so comforting. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and it's the idea where because there is this sort of weird built expectation around also being in a relationship, I think is also the big thing, and it depends on what the situation is in the extended family, where like let's say on my mom's side it's not as bad because like there's only my one cousin who's married and then everybody else is still single, so like it doesn't hit as much, because you don't feel as much as the odd man out, whereas like on my dad's side, um like other than my two guy cousins, everybody else is dating and has been like in for most of them like decently long-term relationships, and like my one cousin has her little girl, so like it hits different in those places where it just makes you feel that much more the odd man out, and like whether that's more a self-imposed thing because you're like I'm alone and I'm comparing myself versus being made to feel that way, because like it's not in every family that they're going to be like, oh, are you dating someone, blah blah blah, because in mine they're really not that, like they've never really been that bad about that, quite honestly, like no one's really made any comments, but like you can't help but just you see the others with their partners and you're like, I want that, I'd like that, that seems nice, and like without trying to like idolize or glorify it or overly romanticize it, but like it looks nice and it appears nice, and now we're going to deal with just anyway, I'm going off on another point, but I'll let you speak first.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, oh no, I had a thought and it's going away.
Oh no, mea
Oh, I
culpa.
think it's two things for me. Like one, it's a bit of like a pride thing too. Like I want to look good. I want to look
Yeah.
cool. And I don't know if cool is actually maybe not the right word, but like I want to look like I'm not a 31-year-old loser who does not have a partner, you know? Like to me, I think there are and like we have talked before about like how it's not right necessarily for social people like social for it to be socially expectant of people to be in relationships. Like it doesn't make you better to be in a relationship, but we still have that because I think we do sense that like relationships are extremely nurturing and cherishing. Like and so like when you're in this situation with everyone else who's got a partner, it is a bit hard because like your pride is hit a bit. Like I'm not good enough to find someone and it's on display in this very large, setting of groups of people. It's very much you're very aware of your singleness in that moment, you know. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, like to your point of this sort of the pride thing where there's this, like you put it, this weird inherent notion that it's almost as if like you have a partner, your life is mildly more put together than if you didn't. Like, where technically not true because you can be a mess and be in relationships. And it depends on like the type of family because like relationship, like are we talking long term or are you the type of family member who shows up with a different partner every single year? Like that is also a thing. And like or just who show up at every single family holiday with a different partner. You're like, oh, who's it going to be this time? Or it's they don't get too attached because he's not staying, and or and you don't
Yeah.
want to be that person or you don't want to be mean about it. But like, there's truth to that point too, and I think for me it's going to be also just the idea where, and I don't think that anybody's going to be overly intense or like mean or anything about it of just the idea where it's like, oh, you're single. It's like, what happened? Or it's like, oh, is he here? Is he, what's happened? It's like, yeah, it didn't work out. Yeah. Like, and that's just it where like like some family members know, but others don't. So it's like just kind of having to catch up on that news. And it's like, yeah.
I just want to say I have a t-shirt idea. You should just be like, yes, I'm single. No, it didn't work out. Don't ask.
Yeah. Don't want to talk about it. It's like moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Next question.
yeah, yeah. Go bother someone else. Yeah, that's like, I think, I think it's a bit different in my family because we, a lot of my mom's side, like, well, my dad's side is not as invested in our lives because there's just so many of us, and I'm like, please, like, don't even worry. So we're like the amount of news that matter to them that we go through, they don't care. My mom's side though, they talking amongst themselves. So like, there are people in my family like that know things that I never told them. And it's because like specifically one person in my life, mother, is very like she tells everyone everything and just talks and talks and talks and like that's great. I don't have to tell people these things. But like I rarely have had to do a PSA to my whole family. There's only been like one time or maybe two times in my entire relationship where I did like a family-wide announcement because everything else like it just spread naturally. So,
Yeah, but to that point, like, without saying I have the opposite, but like I think my parents in different ways have wanted to really respect my privacy a lot in that. And even like when we started dating and even now when like after we've broken up and everything, they're like, we want to leave that in your hands. We don't want to like step over any bounds of speaking out of turn or saying something. We're like, we want to leave you that kind of that option or that choice. But then that puts that responsibility on me. And sometimes you're like, and mind you, I could have told them, and I well now it's too late because they're gonna find out like with just the holidays. But being like, no, you're allowed to tell them. I'd rather they find out from you. Like, please don't leave. I don't want to have to answer that question. Please don't make me answer that question. Please let that be out of the way before we meet each other again because I don't want to have to talk about it and have to keep a brave face. Like, please no. Like, I already had to answer that to my grandfather the other day, and it was awkward as like just as anything. And I was like, oh, kill me.
oh, yeah. I just told my whole family right after it happened. And then, because I had to remove him from our family server. And so, like, I just told my whole family at once and then was like, peace. And thankfully, it just trickled through. And I think we were like Facebook official, I'm pretty sure. So, like, I think once that broke off, it was clear. And like, not to tangent, but I do think like there is some usefulness in that whole being in a relationship with someone on Facebook, because if it doesn't work out, it's a pretty easy way of just being like, y'all, it's done. And then people can't ask because, it's kind of awkward, but like they know. So I don't know. I appreciated that.
Yeah, because I don't know what's worse. Because that is the thing where sometimes it's like it's these sort of like I don't want to have to talk about it, or I don't want to have to do it constantly. To like, okay, we're doing it once and for all, like whatever.
One loud PSA,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Like for everybody to hear ye, and then, but that's just it. But I think sometimes also that's like, and it must depend also like that, like exactly sort of the extent of the relationship, how long it had been,
Yeah.
how invested or present they'd been in the family, if you have kids, if you have like whatever, like then it can get like maybe a little bit more so, but like and but then like yeah, it also depends on just like yeah, did it end really badly or was it just yeah, it just didn't work out kind of thing where I think there are probably levels and layers to which of the awkwardness. I think it's always going to be awkward regardless, but there are degrees.
Yeah, and to your point about the whole like breaking up and everything with kids, and like I have several people in my life who have kids and are not with their like the parents, and are have gotten remarried or in new relationships or whatever. And it's so complicated. Like if that person that like you're no longer with is a tricky or complicated person, it is very difficult to navigate with the children and the holidays, because then you have your schedule, then you have your partner's schedule, and then you have your ex-partner's schedule, and then if that partner has a new partner, you also have to deal with that ex-partner's partner schedule because they have to be available for these things. So like it is, I'm just very thankful. As I said, sometimes I am thankful for being single because it is a very uncomplicated time of year. I just decide what I want to do and what I don't want to do, and then that's it. Like,
Yeah, I think, and that's just it. Where we see the holidays bring out the worst in people, where we're like, that's when we realize how uncivil we can be sometimes, like within our own families. But that's just it, and especially if the relationship ended up really iffy and like everybody's mildly hostile, you're like, okay. But to that point, and we've been talking about it earlier, like yeah, being in a relationship, you don't choose your in-laws, you don't choose your family, and you definitely don't choose your in-laws. And I think that's maybe something that can make it maybe either easier or more harder for the holidays, is depending on what kind of just family dynamics exist to begin with, and whether or not like do they have the crazy family, or do you both? Like that's just it, because like I'm sure for some people they're like they'd rather go to the in-laws for Christmas rather their own family, or vice versa, or whatever. And then having to deal with the like, I don't like your family, and it's like, but why? They're family. And it's like, I still don't like them, or I don't appreciate this person, I don't appreciate this or that, or just being like, I'm not doing that, and it's like, but why? And it's like having to kind of feel like you have to justify or explain certain things has got to be tricky. Like it can't always be sunshine and rainbows.
or if you are with family that you don't like and you don't have a like an in-law to escape to, that's another factor that's really hard for the holidays. Like, I mean, I've been blessed with a really good family overall. Like, I think we do end up often fighting during the holidays. Like, there's always bickering and some screaming, but and like, it's just a lot of different personalities, and like everyone has the complications. Um, I just, yeah, I think for me the hardest part about holidays alone is just the memories and like knowing that you're special to someone as you see other people with special someones. And like I feel like the holidays just like ratchets up people's like um uh affection for each other, like, go ahead.
Well, I think there's the dual part. Well, especially let's say like with Christmas, where it's the season of giving and gifts, and whereas we can kind of like overdo that sense, but it's the idea where it's like I want to show that I know you and that I care for you and I appreciate you. And I mean, like gift giving like it is a love language in of itself, and just it forces you to reconnect with the people that you care about, and depend
Why I
like
don't give gifts.
yeah,
'Cause I don't
exactly.
love anyone. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. No, but that's just it, and it depends on what kind of traditions that you have. I'm gonna take this off because my head is getting hot. But like yeah, like what traditions you have with gift giving, like because not everybody's gonna give a gift to everybody because sometimes that's just excessive and complicated and whatnot.
Well,
But
I
still,
can't.
well, exactly. Like that's just it. But still, like it still there's the season of giving and just wanting to bring a sort of an attitude of gratitude and making you grateful for what you have and who you're with. That kind of just will highlight the lack thereof, whether it be lack thereof of a partner or of even just immediate family or friends with whom to spend the holidays. We're like single and without a very like without a particularly close or
Uh-oh.
whatever like family, like it just it's
Sorry.
got to be hard. Oh no, not again. I think I'm back.
Okay. Okay, now you're
And we're good. What were we talking about?
good.
Where were we at?
Um, you were saying,
Oh, just yeah, like the idea of being yeah, like just being alone in general of either without a partner or just if you don't have a lot of like close family friends, like depending on if you just live far away from people, like sometimes that's just it where it's like if you just live in another country or you're another state or province, like if you're just not able to be physically close and you don't have to necessarily a big circle of friends or like and that's just it where because especially for like Christmas we're like oh it's family but like and mind you I'm sure like there are a lot of people where it's like they'll have more with family or community or friends because they know that they just otherwise won't be with anybody for Christmas and but you kind of have to seek it out and there's got to be a complexity to that where like again hats off but there's yeah go ahead.
I was gonna say, like I had that struggle. Like I lived further away from everyone, and if I wanted to do something with some people, I had to intentionally be like, I'm coming for this date. And again, I had great family who would be like, Are you coming? Where are you going for Christmas? Like they obviously assumed I was going to do something, but it was up to me to be like, How am I getting there? Like I had to reach out more. And there were holidays that I spent alone. And there were like days that I spent alone. Like I spent one birthday alone. And it's because I just like, I wasn't in the place to go be around people, but also like, yeah, like I just dropped the ball kind of. But that's the other thing. It is hard to me, like living with my family right now. It is hard for me, like everything's kind of set up and I have my opinions are asked on things. I do make food and stuff. Like I am involved in the process, but I feel like whether I was here or not, the families would get together anyway. So I kind of just get swept along with like the events, and that's easier to me because I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
having to be like, when are we meeting? Where are we meeting? Like, should we do something? I'm not like the main driver behind this. It's just like normal for them, and it's not normal if I'm alone. So like I guess that is the good thing about being single, but being around family is like you kind of just get pulled in, which is nice.
Well, yeah, again, it comes to just the sort of the routineness of, and especially for like Christmas, like it changes over time because like when you're little, like I remember we'd celebrate like every single holiday and birthday and everything with everybody. Over
That's
time,
crazy.
yeah, well, exactly, but like we aren't that many, so like
Okay.
it was more feasible. Over time, it gets less and less, so obviously, and as the kids grow up, as we have work or just life or just
Yep.
whatever other events and what have you where again not everybody's available so like you stick and like that's just it though sometimes like and I think that's maybe why some people make such a big deal out of it is because for some people it is the one time where they really get to see everybody out of the year and that also just speaks to the fact of like how much time we and like the priority we make of our loved ones or those that we proclaim to be our loved ones where if we make that much of a big deal is it because we just don't spend time with each other elsewhere where it's like are these just family members that you see at Christmas and at funerals because that's kind of unfortunate like I get that sometimes that's how life is and that's how it ends up being but like it I think it just does force us to kind of rethink our priorities sometimes I guess.
Every year when I was a kid, went to, we had a reunion, like a family reunion in August for my dad's side, and during Christmas we would go to my mom's side. That was like how they figured it out for themselves.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think anyone really liked it. Like, we love our family. It's not that we don't love them, but like we rarely saw them when we did. Like every family's got its own issues. Like it was very complicated. Even me as a young kid could tell that there were a lot of strained relationships and adults had a hard time getting the holiday spirit, and like some of us were religious, some of us weren't, so there were different like vibes. It was just a very complicated situation and I didn't much enjoy it. And to be frank, like I still don't really enjoy events where I'm going to see people that I'm related to that I don't have interactions with, because it's like I'm pretending to have this close relationship with you. Like I want to catch up, but I don't actually. Maybe you're not supposed to say this. This might be wrong to say. I don't actually care. Like you're not a close personal person. Like you're not close to me physically. You're not close to me emotionally or like relationally. We just share blood or marriage ties. Like that's it. So why am I breaking my back to go see you?
Exactly. I think it depends on the type of relationship you have. Like outside of those holidays, what kind of relationship you have with those people, because that's just it. It can quickly get very superficial and very just for appearance and yeah, for the sake of being there and for showing up and saving face. But like that's kind of just it gets annoying, and like and as much as it's like
Yep.
it can be the opposite where it's like, oh no, like this is the time that we get to see each other, so we're going to make the most of it, and like it's meaningful and there is more depth to it. But oftentimes it still stays fairly superficial, or it's without being necessarily superficial, but it still stays shallow, and that might be why also kind of bringing it back to the whole partner thing, where that does feel like, for better or for worse, a more real relationship. It feels like a more significant relationship. It feels like someone you're inherently closer with, and that you spend more of your time with, and you want to share that more with people. But I don't know.
I agree. I think it's because it has potential for future ramifications that you see more of like a priority. Like, why would you prioritize a boyfriend if you weren't planning to be with him like in the future? Or hoping like to figure out if you want to be together in the future. And if you are
Yeah.
going to be together in the future, that usually, most of the time, ends up in marriage and kids, or some sort of cohabitation with children or whatever. So like I think you know how we were saying earlier that socially there's an expectation um to be with someone, and that is, we can't let, give into the idea that it's better. But I do think a certain part of it is biological, to procreate and to like we are by nature community creatures. We do have a pull in some ways to like go towards other people. So I think that like us wanting a partner for the holidays and having that is natural. I do think that. It's
Mm-hmm.
not wrong.
No, I definitely don't think it's wrong. But to that point, it's also not wrong to not want a partner for the holidays. Depending on like if you're someone who was maybe in a more complicated and unhappy relationship and now isn't, and you're like, you know what, this is good, I'm fine with this, or maybe you're just someone who doesn't have that, who's actually is very okay and content, or is in that season of being very happy and content with being alone, and you don't want or need to be made to feel like, oh, you poor thing, where it's like, no, no, I'm good, fam, this is good, this is actually where I want to be right now. Whether or not that is to change in the future, like, and like that's just it, where it's like we don't need to see necessarily always big picture either, but it's the like, for right here right now, this is my current situation, moving on, next question kind of thing as well. And yeah.
I don't I don't fully like I understand that's how some people feel. I would say I'm more aligned with that. I do not get soppy and emotional about it. And that's fine if you do. Like to clarify, there's no shade thrown on someone who's like, I just really want a partner for the holidays. That is totally okay.
Oh,
Actually,
sure.
I almost am jealous of that. For me, I just didn't have really good experiences with the holidays and my ex. Like, anyway, the last one I was with was slightly traumatizing, not even being dramatic. It was a lot of bad stuff going on. and the other ones we were online. So there was no sense, like I didn't have that fun, like, are we going to your parents or mine, or like, what events do we have to figure out? Like it wasn't, I didn't ever have to deal with that with him. And like, so I just don't think I have that desire in me for it because I never really experienced it. Like I am, which I'm thankful for, because I think it would be hard to be like going to events and not knowing, like, for you, like you had someone with you physically. I never did for these events. It never worked out that way. So for me, I don't feel like I'm missing someone for the events, which to me, thank God, because this these seasons would be extremely hard.
Yeah, and I think because that's just it, where this year is going to be very different because of that. Where like I think, and I'm not someone who tends to miss people, places, or things. So it's like it's not like I miss it so much and I'm like sobbing. And but like there's a little part of me that's like,
Oh,
like I think it's more just the longing and the what could have been, and just the like without without having to dwell on it. There's just the passing thought of he's gonna have holidays this year, his family's gonna get together, and I'm not gonna be there. And like I'm like, that's kind of sad and unfortunate, and like, and because I had appreciated them, and um and especially like I think, yeah, it was his mom's more extended family. Like I gotten to meet like his cousins, and we all gotten along like super well and everything. And it kind of reminded me a little bit like on my side of the family. So like that had been fun, that had been nice, and I would have looked forward to that again had that still been a thing this year. Like, and that's just it. It's not like it would have been something that I was like, oh, we're gonna go, and I'm like, oh, okay, that would have been nice.
okay. Is this just me? I just that made me think about like when I met my I don't know why I'm still waving this. When I met my ex's family on like a video call. I was talking to you earlier about it. And like that was the first time I'd met them, and like it was just grounding to have them there. But I I, I still think about it sometimes because, and again, I know that this was not like how it wasn't even to the level of like, let's say, what you had, but the joy I felt, um the pride that I felt, like, how do I say this, like the affirmation of like you're introducing me to your family and I'm able to like have a conversation with and get along with them. Like I mean, mine was cringed out because like we broke up soon after, so it was really embarrassing to me, but at the same time I still remember like that, like the warmth of like I'm at your family, you know?
You just gave me a little bit, I think, my own epiphany. Belonging.
Yeah.
There is a sense
Yeah.
of belonging, and here, and
100%.
and it's the distinction where family, you are part of family. It is a given that you are going to be there. Like it's a given. With whether you feel like you are forced or not, like it's going to happen. You're part of that. So
Hmm.
it's like being there. You don't feel like you're being included so much as you're. Of course, you're going to be there, obviously. But
Yeah.
where you go to a partner, or like it's the notion of found family. You are being brought into something. You are
Chosen.
exactly. You are being chosen. You are being greeted and accepted into, and there's that sense of belonging, and just the, again, we are social creatures. We're community driven creatures, and
Yeah.
the I've expanded my community. I've grown those bonds and those like relationships, and even as someone who like I am still very much of an introvert. Like I don't crave to have a bunch of like social contacts or friends or like connections. Like I don't, and at least definitely not on like a daily basis, but like it was still nice to get to have and create those connections. Like there was just like there is something so weirdly special of being able just to like, and that's just it. Like especially since I only got to have it as an experience of going like once. Like again, over the years, it's different. Like once, eventually, you're like you're part of the gig, and it's like it gets old hat. But at the beginning, there's definitely a novelty to it where it's like you're meeting everyone, you're presenting yourself, and like yes, there's a part of it that's kind of like daunting and a bit awkward and like, ooh, but
I hope they like me,
well,
like that
exactly,
fear.
exactly. Well, especially when you don't know and it's the first time that you're meeting anybody, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I hope this goes well. And I'm grateful that it did go well because I'm delightful. Why wouldn't it?
Obviously.
Please, I'm a catch. And I like I know how to be socially adequate.
So humble. So humble.
But No, but it was nice, and that's just it. And just and there is a little bit of a something, like, whether we like to admit it or not. And it's not a point of necessarily objectifying the person, but just kind of being like, here's my plus one. Like, there's a little something something to it. Especially the first go around where you're like, and here's my arm candy.
Well, the pride goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm proud that I'm being shown off by him, but I'm proud to show him off. This is like the person I love, or
Yeah.
like a lot. And there is like a fear mixed in with it, because you're like, what if like the person I chose is hated by everyone?
What if they don't? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like him a lot, but what if no one else does? And then it's like, ooh. But like, there is still this like, yeah, there's this, and again, like, I never got to show my ex off to people, and maybe they wouldn't have been impressed, but at the same time, like, I would still have been proud to, because like, I thought he was really cool. And like, it's the same for when I met his parents. Like, I was like, I I was proud of myself. I was like, I'm an independent woman who has a job, and like, I'm a nice person. Like, I was like, I am a catch, like you said.
Look, Ma,
I
I
was
did it. Look, Ma, I did
yeah.
it. I did it. It's like, I did the thing. I
Like,
caught
oh, you're not
something.
proud of me. I'm taking care. I'm like, I'm taking care of your son. Like, I'm trying to be a good girlfriend. And like, there's a sense of affirmation you get from it, and it's maybe you could make it into a bad thing, but it was just very fulfilling in that moment of like, they like me, like, they think I'm
Sure.
a cool person.
I don't know, and it can get weirdly showy sometimes, where if you try to try it, like, you can be try hard.
Like, the impressing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And on either way, like, either with their family or your family or whatever, but like, but there is still a bit of a part of the, like, this is my person, look what I found, look what I got, I did it, and especially, like, again, as the, speaking for myself, as the eternally single cousin, who it took till I was 27 to finally have my first boyfriend. This has been a long time.
Same.
It's like, this has been a long time coming. Like, in my case, and like, and that makes it all the more, I'm not going to say that all the more disappointing, but to an extent where you were like, we had so much hope. You were the chosen one. And now it is dead. Love is dead. It's dead.
I think
it's dead. Dying dead.
Okay, it's dead.
We're alive, but we're dead.
But not to like tangent off of that, I want to apply it to the holiday stuff, but I do think that it's hard when you don't meet someone till you're older. I think it is a very, like, holidays become much more like weighted with them. Like, at 31, like, if I'm bringing a guy to the holidays, he better be staying around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like, I'm gonna be honest, like, if I was dating someone at my age, like, you did last year, I don't even know if I would have brought him around for Christmas holidays, because I would be like, oh, I don't know if you're like, if we're only a couple months in, like, are we serious enough to see everyone? I don't even know if I would. And like, it's totally up to the couple.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but for me, I'm like, like, yeah, I don't think, it's just so hard. It's so hard, like being, I'm a very proud person, so the idea of like dating someone and then like getting them to meet the entire family and then them leaving, or like, it falling apart, I don't think I would recover from that. I would be like, I failed. That's a pride thing. That's wrong, because I tried my best, but I still failed.
Yeah, well, like, to that point, that's where I'm kind of coming in this year, where I'm like, I have to show up and be like, hey, yeah, it's just me. No. And like, again, long time coming, and the longer you wait, the more you're like, you better stick around. And like you say, pride thing, or just in looking back on everything, where I'm like, yeah, maybe we did jump the gun on that one, because we hadn't, like, we were going to be veering into like 2 months at the end of December. So like, yeah, no, we hadn't been dating that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we definitely jumped the gun on that one. And like, but again, I got excited. I got excited, Joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not blaming you.
I got excited. Like, here's the thing. Like, and yeah, no, like, again, like, to be fair and to be clear, we jumped the gun. We definitely jumped the gun on that one. I think but the naive hope that either it was going to work out, and or the other side of being like, what if this is the only chance I get? I wanted, like again, just the sort of like
Grasping at
and
straws.
the what?
Grasping at
Kind of,
straws.
yeah, basically.
We will do. I'm not. I can find someone. Leave me. See.
Yeah, no, but literally, it just kind of like, but that's just it, and just the
Not that these men, PSA, not that these men are objects used for our own benefit.
no. But I think like for me, it was just the. I think it's just because it kind of landed that way of the sort of like wanting to sort of progress in the like, we would have been getting closer to the part of like, oh, wanting to meet maybe a family a little bit more, and it was just sort of the, well, now we can do it all at once kind of thing, where like it, like, to be fair, I think part of the reasons was just of the convenience of it, of the, well, now we're going to be able to just do it and do it all at once. It was still too early to do that, more likely than not. And I think it's just the part where, again, I was just so excited and just kind of being like, and again, looking back here, like, again, there's no sense in rushing forever, which is why, like, an extra year isn't going to kill you, which, like, because I know, like, I think I have another cousin that, like, they, with her now boyfriend, that they've been together for a few years. I think, like, the first year they dated, like, they hadn't gone mutually because they hadn't been dating all that long, and they were like, let's wait a little while, which I think, honestly, like, again, in hindsight, is not a bad idea. I think there's just a part of me of the, like, having to show up again at Christmas and being like, yeah, I'm seeing someone. They're just not here yet. And it's like, yeah, you'll get to meet them next year, kind of thing, where it's like, I was like, but they exist, and I want to prove to you that you exist, so you have to come with me so that I can prove that you exist.
But that is like, not to be putting this on you, but it is a pride thing. Like,
oh, sure.
Like,
Absolutely.
there is I just think it's normal. I'm not trying to, like, lambast you, but I do think that's pretty normal. Like, but it is a pride thing of, like, look what I have. I got this, and you're impatient to get the rewards of that and hear all that affirmation of, like, oh wow, he's so nice and cute and stuff, and instead of, like, for the future to save us both and all the awkwardness, we're gonna wait.
Yeah, and I think for me, I got my hopeless romantic got the better of me, and which is a point that I'd been wanting to try to see if I could put in, is that the holidays and Christmas especially, Hallmark has ruined me. Now, mind you, a lot of other things have ruined me before then, but, like, there is just something, again, like,
why you gotta say it like that?
just media, Disney, everybody, just the idea of love and romance and whatever. Like, again,
love isn't exactly like what Disney portrays.
I know.
Oh, no wonder my relationship fell apart. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. Oh, it's explains so much. No, but
Yeah.
but I think, like, that's just where I think that we kind of, especially with the holidays, there's, like, the idea of, like, holiday romance, and, like, I just kind of got excited, and I got caught up in the whimsy, and I'm again in the, like, it's finally my turn, I'm gonna enjoy this, damn it, I'm gonna have my moment. And, like, again, I was not patient enough to be like, if this is gonna be the real thing, you can wait an extra year, because he's gonna still be here in an extra year, and then, like, you're gonna have this eventually. Chill.
Yep.
But chill, I did not have, nor do I ever, but I definitely did not have it at that moment. I definitely did not have it.
Chill is not your strong suit.
Don't know her.
Yeah.
I'm the most least chill person.
Yeah. I would say out of everyone I know, like, personally, you're probably, like, close. You're probably the least chill. Which is fine. I don't dislike you.
I think,
you're pretty cool.
I'm chill for certain things and not for other things, and not when it comes to that. Let's just put it that way.
Well, okay. The thing is, though, whether you're chill or not chill, or in between, there's pros and cons to everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like, because I feel like everyone's prone to being one or more thing, and, like, whether you're on either end of the spectrum, like, there's pros and cons. If you are chill, then you could be too chill and just let things slide that shouldn't. So, like, and then if you're not chill at all, then you could be, like, really intense and freak people out, or, like, jump the gun and stuff. So I think that's the hard part.
Yeah. Like, that's just it. I tend to jump the gun. Like, that's just it. I'm not chill in the sense that where it's like, I'm, again, very neurotic. I think in the way where I'm like, I appear, I'll say I appear chill more just to the capacity that I try to not to make my lack of chill anybody else's problem. I try. I don't like having to make other people deal with the fact that I have no chill. But I don't have
Except
any
for
chill.
like when we text.
Yeah, but you're different.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
that's what I'm saying. Like
different.
our relationship is
You get to see the
the
real depth of how like unhinged and
the
unchill I
amount
am.
of times I've like face palmed in the last like 2-3 months from
Hey,
you where I've
hey,
messaged and I'm like, oh Lord, give me strength. And
hey.
like to be fair, like yeah, I'm not like turnabout's fair play. Like
I was
I
gonna
was also
say.
yeah, I've had my fair share of it intense, really meltdown, like 100%. But it is hard being the one listening and being like, just you're wrong. You're wrong.
Either that or just get it together. Pull yourself together.
Whining, yeah, like slapping you like Edna mode, like pull yourself together, like. But like, yeah, I do agree that like, and that's something I've been trying to work on the past couple years, like after the breakup and everything. I just like bleh on everyone. Like I just word vomited pain on everyone I met. I'm talking dentists, hairdressers, like every Uber drivers, like everyone I talked to, in depth. Obviously, it wasn't like the first sentence, but I was like, I would come around with, and it did come up in my defense because they'd be like, "Oh, you don't have family here? Why are you here?" And I'd be like, "I moved here for my ex." So like, it did come up more naturally, but then I would be like, like, "You're a piece of shit,"
Yeah.
like, I'm kidding, allegedly, but like, yeah, the point is
Neither
that
confirm or deny. No, but
yeah.
the oversharing is real. It's very, very real, and I still find myself doing it a lot. But like, to be fair, I think there's a part of it that's very natural. There's a reason why we do it, because that's just how we cope and we process and we grieve as well. Like, I think that is part of the necessary process. But yeah, no. But coming back to, yeah, just lack of chill ruins everything. Like, back to the holidays and everything, where like now it's a kind of thing where it's like, I think I would wait a little longer before then, like without having like, yeah, like I think without it, and it also depends on like when you start dating, because I think it's hard to say like how long it should be. Depends on how much you've gotten to know them, like within that period of time, how often you've gotten to see each other, whether or not they've gotten to meet other people in your like friends, family, or whatever. But
And if it's like, okay, for you and me, it was our first time dating. So I think that also raises the stakes more. Like now that you've dated someone and now that I've dated someone, if we bring someone to Christmas that we've met like 2 months ago, I don't think it would raise as many eyebrows, or like they wouldn't be thrown off. They wouldn't be as like, because the first time's always like the craziest. So now I think we've broken that ice, and I think it will be easier for holidays now if we do have someone. Even if you did meet someone and dated them for only 2 months, I think it would be fine at this point now because you've already done it, and it's just normal at this point.
yeah, well, I think there's, to your point of like the fact of setting a precedent. I think that's just it. Once you break the ice and you set a precedent, it helps. That being said, like I think if you're the person that like constantly has different people, then sometimes people will still raise questions, and it depends on
A revolving door. Yeah.
well, no, and I think it is that it also depends on how much tact the family has of pointing that out, of being like, oh, you're another one, or what happened to so and so, or oh, I liked that one, that's too bad, and like it's the other person's like, I'm right here. like
To be fair though, if you're like revolving that much, it would be hard to even remember their name. You'd be like, which one are you again? Like to
oh
be fair, like if you're kind of doing that to yourself.
oh,
Like if you're
absolutely.
dating someone who's a serial dater, there's going to be some awkward questions.
Yeah, no, and you definitely never want to
Sorry.
be you definitely never want to be like the one where it's the like, oh, what happened to them? I really liked them, or like
Oh yeah, no, that's
a-
unnecessary.
and or just over time being like, I like that one better, or it's like, oh, I miss
I
them.
mean, again, you get numb to this stuff. So if like if your sibling or cousin or something is bringing like a different person multiple times a year, I would start keeping a scorebook. I would be
Oh,
like,
and like that's just it. To be fair, the fact that this has happened isn't like, that's just where, and I think like again, there's pride and ego that gets in the way where like we get sensitive, but like it's not abnormal. Like, to be fair, like that's just it. Like on my mom's side, like again, other than my cousin where she got it first round and she's married, she has a kid, but literally all the rest of us, like other than my one other cousin who had a girlfriend for a little bit and it also didn't work out, like none of us have really dated all that much. So like there's not much of a precedent, or like, and mind you, that's the Christian side, so like it gets a little bit iffier sometimes of the dating and the marriage and the what have you. But like, let's say on my dad's side where like all my cousins, the current partners that they have now were not the first ones that we were introduced to. Like, it's not
Right.
abnormal. And like I think there's only a normal part of the like you don't always get it on the first try, which I find annoying because I'm a very one and done person. And I think that's
Me
probably
too.
I think
Me too.
it's probably why where I was like I gotta jump the gun, because I was like, it's fine, I know what I'm doing. And it's like, narrative voice, she did not know what she was doing. But like I think that's just it. But
Felt.
it's the idea where like it's normal, and like that's just it, because like of all my like because of all my cousins, like, and like on that side of the family, like I think my brother's the only one who isn't dating. He's the youngest anyway, but everybody else, I think there's only one cousin that like he dated someone, but we never ended up meeting her. But everybody else has brought at least one boyfriend girlfriend home, like for Christmas. And the current one that they have now is not that person, you know, like, and
Yeah.
most of them has, I think one we met like, yeah, like I think one was like maybe just like we got to meet two, the other one maybe three, and the other one like a few more. But like that's just it, where there's a part of it that's technically not abnormal, we just hate it. Like there's a part of it where it's like it's part of the process, it's not abnormal, it's not bad, it's just it's uncomfortable and it's annoying that that's what the process is. But it is what it is, kind of thing. And I think that's just it's there's the uncertainty of it sometimes, where like sometimes that is sort of the mystery of it, of the like will they won't they, and you're like, and I think that's the danger too, where like we ourselves jump the gun, but it's the how much does the rest of the family also jump the gun, or how much have they've also invested, because that also makes the difference of the how much is either the immediate or extended family invested in your relationship or in your family.
I think that jumping the gun, yeah, you have to be careful that like they're not getting too connected too fast on either side. I also think that jumping the gun isn't necessarily wrong if you're like both adults, stable, not super messed up. Like if you're coming from a basic like stable area and like you're adults, you know what you're doing. The problem is like if you are going to jump the gun and move fast, you have to be prepared for the consequences of if it doesn't work out. Like for you, I don't know if it's wrong per se that you had him there for within 2 months. The problem, the downside is not a problem. It's just the downside is that having to explain to people that it's not there anymore, and that's I think the hard problem. If you wait till it's more stable, it's like how people don't tell people they're pregnant within the first like 2 months because you don't know if it's viable. I can't believe I'm likening a pregnancy to a relationship, but it kind of is. Like you have to know if it's viable before like telling people about it. Or if you tell people about it at like a couple weeks in or a few weeks in, whenever you find out, that's fine, but you're just raising a lot of pain if you do miscarry.
Yeah, well, I think the comparison works. Like it still stands ground in the idea where it's the regardless. It's without inherently labeling one as good or bad or better or worse. I think it's the just be aware and conscious of the ramifications, the repercussions, the consequences. It's the again, it's like, oh, here are the consequences of my actions. Like it's okay. Like, and without even saying that it was a mistake or anything, like again, it was a choice. It's the you make a choice. Whatever that choice is, there will be ramifications, there will be consequences, there will be repercussions. You will have to live with those. Are you okay with that? And like that's just it. And like to be fair, I can live with these current repercussions. Like, is it kind of annoying and a little bit awkward? It's like, sure, but again, my ego
You'll
is
survive.
But exactly, my ego will survive. Like there are bigger things, there are more important
No
things.
lasting damage.
No, and like and ultimately, like I think, and like so we were talking where ultimately, like, I think we get it all overshadowed, and then we kind of just miss the point of the holidays, where it's like the point isn't to prove anything or to just, again, it's the season of giving. It's the season of spending time with family, friends, loved ones, like, regardless of who or what they are, and just spending time with those people and remembering the true meaning of Christmas or whatever.
I agree. And I think that you can hold space for that grief or that mourning of not
Absolutely.
having someone. But I think if you're missing out on the joy of, like for me, tumbling around with my nephews or opening presents with my parent or opening stockings with my parents and, baking with my mom. Like if I'm missing out on these experiences because I'm overshadowed by grief or longing for something that I don't have in that moment, I think that's when you start to honestly be a little dumb. I don't know a good word for it, but like it's like why would you do that? You're just and as someone who's religious, like I am called to look outside of myself and like we're reading Advent together right now and it's a beautiful reminder that like there is a reason for the season. Not to be cringe, but like it
Mm-hmm.
is cringe, but like there is a reason why we celebrate this and it's not about me.
I don't know that it's cringe more than it's just it's corny. Like it's corny. But that's the truth of that. Again, like the season of giving, of sharing, of the true gift, and reminding ourselves what our purpose is to serve, not to be served, and just to be there for one another. And like you said, like you can definitely hold a place for that grief. Like process it, live it, allow yourself to acknowledge it because it is part of your human experience, but also don't let it ruin everything else at the expense of that. Like don't let that be like the deciding and reigning factor of the because I don't have this will ruin everything else.
It could have been better with. Yeah, and I want to say also like to just to clarify a little bit, like grief also, I know we're talking about singleness versus but like I think also just to be noted for those people that don't have someone or who have lost someone that they loved. And I don't mean just breaking up. I mean like who's passed away
Family.
or, you lost them in like a divorce or something or, whatever. There is a lot of loss that people feel at Christmas. But if you are someone with a healthy family and a healthy friend group and, in our case, like maybe church community, and you're complaining about how you don't have a partner, I see you and I feel you, but also like make sure you're not staying in that space of like frustration and like longing.
Well, yeah, like don't let that be what isolates you.
And
Because
I'm preaching to myself here,
oh,
but
I think that's what it is that we tend to want to isolate and then lick our own wounds, and it's the no, no,
yeah.
no. This is what's supposed to be a driving force to I don't like this. Clearly other people also don't like this, and this is therefore where we kind of band together and build new community and build new homes and build new family because we're not meant to stay alone and sit in that. You can still you give yourself the time and space to process that and live with it and just however long you need, but then do something with it. But like, yeah, but coming back to the point of grief and that's just it, be a grief of that relationship or just again like family members or the idea of where like people getting older, people moving away, or like loved ones passing away, where like we don't like change. Like that's just it. Where as much as like there's good change of like oh new partners or whatever, but then there's like the sadder change of the they're not with us anymore. And I know that like looking at just how Christmases has changed over the year for us, where like with my grandparents on my dad's side, like that they both passed away, where it's like okay it's different, or that it had to change for a while because they were like in a residence, and then we like we
Hmm.
for a while we switched to doing it there because it was just simpler in terms of just traveling and for everything. And so but like it was still Christmas and we got to be together, and it's the idea where like now that they're both gone, we've kind of technically reverted back to the original Christmases, but
Mm,
they're not there, so it's
right.
different. So like and that's just like neither of them are better, neither of them are worse. And I think it's the there's a purpose, I think, to almost the nostalgia, if I can put it that way, of the like you can you can look back on those times. You can look back on them very, very fondly, and like they can be very, very bittersweet, but don't get swallowed up in the nostalgia of it.
I think that's my danger is like I am an extremely, I've texted you this before. I am an extremely nostalgic person. Like and I don't,
Melancholy.
yeah, the melancholy, nostalgia, it is like the songs I listen to, it is the things I write. Like I like it. It's not just a like I struggle. It's like I like melancholy and nostalgia, and I can sit in it for a while. So I can very easily, even though I am very happy as a person generally, I do tend to, especially in certain moments, like sit in that melancholy and that loss or that idea of missing out on something. So yeah, I do understand how people can struggle to look forward or upwards during the season, but like if you are alone, like seek out people, don't be alone. Do something for others. Like if you are battling with sadness or grief, like look outside. Do not look inside during this season because that is, as you said earlier, when you isolate yourself, you think, "Oh, I'm healing, I'm doing better." And there are times for that, but during the holiday
Sure.
season, in my opinion, you should not be dealing with stuff alone. You should be allowing warmth into your life. And like for us, that looks like Christ. That looks like, you know, celebrations with church and family and friends. But like even if you're not religious, like finding, like helping out somewhere. There's a lot of like people who do not have homes or food or even just gifts on the Christmas. And there are lots of ways we can volunteer, lots of ways that we can, help people out and just look outside of ourselves. And as you said earlier, again, like giving, like this is really the greatest season that you could possibly give it, especially in winter when it's cold out and people are struggling. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I think it's the we overcomplicate it sometimes too, where it's the like look outside of yourself of or the but like as someone who hates planning and executing in general, it's not like I'm like I must prepare a Christmas gathering and a feast and a whoop like
The
it's
roast beast.
yes, exactly, the Rehu roast beast. But like even just the idea where like as simple as going to the places where you know there are going to be like essential workers or people who have no choice but to work on the holidays because they need to supply to the people who go to these places.
Hmm.
Hang out with the fast food workers and just wish them merry holidays because they also need a little bit of cheer because they're like they can't be
Because people
home.
are also crazy during the holidays. People
That too.
be crazy.
Be nice, give them a
Yeah.
hug, or at least just apologize, thank them, give them a coffee. They probably really
Yeah.
desperately need them.
Yeah. Tip them well.
Exactly, but that's just it. Like just finding places, or just yeah, like not being afraid to interact, to say hi, and where it might go. Like, and it doesn't have to be a good interaction. Afterwards, you can be like, what the heck was that? You did something. And something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do
Just
it
go
for
outside of
hours.
yourself.
Yeah, and like
No.
you don't have to do it. And if anything, afterwards you can be like, well, that was terrible, and at least you'll be happy that it's done and over with, and then you'll be in a better place for that.
You could even just say like Merry Christmas to your Uber driver. Or
Happy
like
holidays.
yeah, like oh, please, Jerry.
What?
Not with that PC bullshit up in here. No, no, no. It's Merry Christmas. And it always will be.
Merry
I will
Christmas.
die on this hill. This is my hill to die on.
Yeah, that's your hill to die on. Fine. Merry Chrysler.
No. Happy crisis.
Crimsons.
Yeah, no, like it's just these little things of
Yeah.
like choosing like light. And I feel kind of cringy saying that, like, oh, like, but it's like, no, again, you can get really self-focused in the season, feeling sorry for what you don't have or what you're missing out on. And it's like, no, like, what do you have that so many people in this world don't have right now? And again, it's not to downplay your struggles, but it's to take a moment to be like, there's so much more important things to be grateful for.
It's that the solution isn't inside of you. Like, and as much as we like to try to think that the solution is inside of us, and you will find the happiness in yourself, and be happy with yourself, and be like, it's
Just
technically
accept who you really are. It's like,
exactly be comfortable with yourself, and it's been inside you all along, and it's like, no, go outside. See others. The world is so much bigger than your little island. And that is, like, again, isolation is the number one enemy. And like it's
Yep.
like there's no wonder that so many people are in distress over the holidays, and that like mental health lines or suicide hotlines, and like again, if those are the things that you need, please reach out, please, they exist. But like, to that point though, like I think again it speaks to the fact that we long, we crave, and we seek that.
Connection.
And seek for it before it's too late. Like if you feel the beginnings of it, in whatever capacity that you can do preventative measures before it's too late. And
Preventative.
I mean, I don't know.
What is this, like an STD or something?
What is it with you and your analogies?
I don't know. It's just the way you said it was just like, it just felt very like medical. Like it just felt,
Clinical.
you know what I mean?
Very
like,
clinical.
we're taking preventative measures, or like maybe like militaristic. Like, I don't know. It just felt very like not holiday.
No,
But
but
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
no, but I think that's but like, and that's true. But for anything, like I think preparing ourselves for anything, I don't think we prepare enough for anything in general. Like just mentally setting ourselves up for success for these kinds of things. And it's the, again, you prepare and you plan and hope for the best, but you know, be ready that it might not go to plan and it might
But that's
derail.
the point, though. Like, there does need to be a bit of a plan. You can't just expect things to happen to you at Christmas. Like, maybe you have to extend yourself a little, and that's me preaching to myself because I am quite lazy and I don't like extending myself. I'd rather just game happily in my room all day long. But in order to find connection, I have to talk to people.
There's
Shocking. Shocking.
There's a level of intentionality that goes into it, and ultimately, like,
Yes.
plans are useless, but planning is essential. And you gotta do something somewhere for something to happen. Otherwise, eh.
Okay. So to summarize, singleness sucks,
Yep. Yeah.
but
But
it is not wrong. And, you know, you have to enjoy whatever circumstance you are find yourself in this Christmas and find joy wherever you can. Um,
yeah, invite Joy. She'll be there.
Joy will not be there. She will be hiding.
Yeah.
No,
Very
but
far,
like,
far away.
yeah. No, I do love Christmas. I love events. I love baking. It's just harder being like gluten dairy free, but like it's I'm still planning to do some baking
Oh,
and
that's another thing that we need not get into, is dealing with the dietary restrictions over the holidays.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
That's
I'm gonna try and like have some gluten and dairy and see how I fare because like there's no way, and I don't want to miss out on everything. Like that would suck. So I might try like
good luck with
like
that.
my sister-in-law is making sweet potato casserole and I'm like I have to eat it. Like I have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So I'll just do like
As long as your
I'll,
butt
like,
is okay with it afterwards.
it's my stomach. I get like really bad acid reflux. So I'll just be like popping Tums like candy. I'll be like, oh, one bite of sweet potato. Okay, here's a Tums. Crunch
Oh,
that down.
goodness.
I'm kidding.
That's
But
gonna go
no,
well.
I definitely want to take advantage. I love food, and I feel like food is a unifying thing around the holidays. It
Oh,
really
yeah.
does bring people together. So I'm gonna make a turkey, I think.
Ooh.
I have good meat skills. I knew that was gonna make you react like that. I'm really good at seasoning and cooking meat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just yeah. So yeah, summary is like just because you're single like us does not mean you're a loser. It does not mean that you're less than, that you failed. It just means that like now is not your time. You know, and if there are opportunities that you're missing that could put you in the way of finding someone during the holidays, do it. Like go to those parties, go to those work parties, like go to those events. Like it's tiring. Yes, it's very tiring and you don't feel like it a lot of times. But it's important to connect because you never know where
You
you might
never
meet
know.
someone. That's not the actual goal. Okay? But
No, and don't
side effects.
No, and mind you, don't push yourself to those if you're not ready, because there's something to be said about not being ready and not putting yourself through that if you're really not ready. But
Well, go
it's
to them. Just don't take the men that you find there, or women, or beings. I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to these events, but just maybe don't pick up people.
or
You don't
just
have to say yes to people coming for you. You know what I mean? They could be
no,
like sliding
no.
your DMs, and you'd be like, "And no, thank you."
No, or just, you can show up, active presence, and then be like, yeah, no, I hate this, I'm going home. Like, at least you'll have
Just
minimally
wear
tried.
Jerry's sweater, and you'll get no offers whatsoever.
Or you'll get all of them. What do you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
If
Yeah, that's
it
true.
if it is a ugly Christmas sweater party, please.
The balls that you have to wear that outside, maybe the guys would respect you. They'd be like, okay, she can look a fool. I can dig it. So the only thing that would make that better is if it was a onesie. I'm going to be honest.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that would literally make it peak if it was just a big outfit and you were just a big tree. That would be
Oh, and if the legs were like brown to be like the more of some
stumps.
chunk. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
I could do that though. Is like wear like darker, like those kind of just dark pants
You
to
could.
kind
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of it that way. You've given me an idea.
You're welcome. You're so
Do I
welcome.
have pants that would work with that?
You would need like a brown corduroy.
Because I don't have any brown pants.
I mean,
I've
who does? That's such a weird color to have as pants.
Well, maybe
Isn't
not
that
brown
weird?
quarter. Well, but I mean, well, some people have like brownish. You can have like beige or brownish pants. It depends on the person. I'm sure some people do.
Well, I
I just
have
don't.
like I have brown like leggings, like active wear and stuff.
See?
But it was only more recently that they started putting it out. It used to be grays and blacks and whites.
Well, exactly. Like that's just. It's not necessarily the most
So,
common. I just. It's not that
yeah.
it doesn't exist. It's just not the most common.
I guess and guys wear like khakis, which are brownish, like tan. We're having really scintillating conversation right now.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, people. Anyway, okay. Well, this is our holiday single chat. Anything else to add, Jerry?
I don't believe so. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, be safe, take care
Happy
of
Hanukkah.
yourselves, Happy Kwanzaa. I forget if there are any other ones.
Feliz Navidad.
That's still Christmas.
Shut up.
Joyeux Noël and all that jazz.
Exactly, exactly.
But yeah, and you're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this, and we will. We might end up just having a chat on the other side and being like, "So how'd it go?"
Yeah,
Just
let's
a
do
holiday.
New Year's chat and
Exa-
check in and be like, "Are you dead?
Yeah,
I'm dead. Are you dead?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dead."
This year we can maybe try to do a New Year's one that we actually put out at New Year's. Cause like we have one where it's like Happy New Year, and I think it was like March when we actually ended up putting it out.
No, it was like June.
Was it that
It
bad?
was like it was so bad.
No, but
Jerry.
here's the thing: is that we already filmed it late and we posted it even later. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. We are
Anyway.
not good at this.
Well, now that I've moved and settled in and everything, we can do this again sooner. But
Hopefully.
anyway, thank you for tuning in. I love you, Mom. And I'll talk to you guys later.